Nowadays, wherever you go in Singapore, you will see so many high-protein products that it's hard to miss them. So what's this phenomenon, and is it just a fad or will it be the future? Watch out, because this is somehow good if you are rich. So, now, if you have not left your house for years because you are a Gen Z or Gen Alpha kia who doesn't even know how to say a complete sentence to another person, here's what's happening in the real world instead of the Minecraft world. Someone once told me that 7-Eleven outlets in Singapore are now protein stores, and I have to agree. The convenience store is now filled with so many high-protein products that I will not be surprised if they hang some high-rock spreads at their entrance. And it's not just 7-Eleven. Go to any supermarket in Singapore and you will see countless high-protein drinks and food. And when I say food, I literally mean any drinks and food you can think of. I mean, there are high-protein chips, high-protein ice cream, or even high-protein 100 plus. Yeah, I kid you not. The craze is kind of getting a little out of control, and here's the thing. There's only supply when there's demand. In other words, people must be buying them. And these people are rich because any high-protein product will cost a lot more than the non-high-protein product. For example, these 30-gram protein chips cost $2.90 on RedMart, so each gram costs about 9.7 cents. These 28.3-gram Lay's potato chips cost $1.01 on RedMart, so each gram costs about 3.6 cents. Yeah, so it's 3 times more expensive. And we are not talking about just in Singapore. This phenomenon is happening in most developed countries. I know that seeing is believing, but let's look at some numbers as well. Now, for a start, there has been a trend of people becoming more educated about nutrients since internet becomes mainstream, as people read up more about what is healthy and what is unhealthy. Big food companies can no longer use marketing words to convince us that a bag of processed food is healthy when the ingredients say otherwise. Truth to be told, there's a move to the right direction. However, the protein craze started later, around 2022 or so. According to a US survey, the share of people trying to consume protein rose sharply from 59% in 2022 to 71% in 2024 and 70% in 2025. It said that it was around 2024 that food companies started to notice this trend and started developing protein-rich food. So why? What's happening? Before that, you need to know something about protein. Now, first and foremost, let me say that if you look at me, you should know that you should not trust what I say lah. So if you want more, it's not because I'm obese lah. Ayo, it's because I'm a cat lah. Walao eh, you all body shame sia. I woke up and the sun. So, if you want more credible information about nutrients, consult a dietitian instead. What I'm about to say is merely the very basics. So, before 2022, people often associate protein with gym-goers, and it was not mainstream. Now, just a disclaimer in case people didn't finish watching this video. Protein is essential for everyone, not just gym-goers. And just like how we all slowly learned that processed food is unhealthy, people also started learning more about the importance of protein around 2022 or so. You see, protein is one of the most essential nutrients we need in our body. It's not just for muscle recovery, but for many functions in our body. Most food have protein, even food you did not expect. Do you know that an apple has about 0.5 to 1 gram of protein? Shocking, I know. And that's why we can survive even if we don't down protein powder. So, on average, if we don't exercise, we need about 1 gram of protein for each kilogram of our body weight, depending on how old you are. If you are 60 kg, you need about 60 gram of protein daily. If you exercise regularly, then you need about 1.5 gram to 2 gram of protein per kilogram, depending on the intensity of your exercise. And when we say exercise, it's not bodybuilding, but any exercise. Now, these are just agar-agar, and you can overconsume protein and you'll still be fine. But of course, don't take 10,000 grams of protein a day lah. Anyways, it's almost impossible to overconsume protein because it will do something to your brain that make you full after you eat a little of it. Later, I'll explain more about it, as it's something that could have caused the entire trend. Now, if protein is so important, why didn't we know about this before 2022? Well, we actually know, it's just that you did not follow the guideline lah. But why this important fact only goes mainstream now? There are a few reasons. But before anything, you need to know something about protein that you likely did not know of. Protein can help you lose weight, not directly but indirectly, and it has been proven to do so. Watch out, because what you are about to learn is going to be shocking to you. Once again, let me reiterate that I'm just a cat on the internet, so I'm just simplifying everything here. If you want a more in-depth version of what I'm about to say, you can read the links I provided in the description. So, like what I said earlier, the fact that protein is indeed good for us is a well-established fact backed by evidence. But it's not just about repairing muscles. You see, what you might not know is that hunger is actually not primarily caused by a lack of food. Shocking, I know, but hear me out before you call me fake news. The feeling of hunger is mainly caused by a hormone in your body called ghrelin. You see, we actually don't need 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 meals a day. The reason why we think we need them is because big food companies influence us to eat more so they can earn more. But if so, why do we always feel hungry in the morning, before lunch and before dinner? Or in other words, every few hours? It's because our body has been conditioned to do so. According to a study published in PMC, researchers found a robust increase in ghrelin levels immediately before each scheduled meal, and the levels dropped about 1 hour afterwards. Other studies have also shown that very habitual feeding times strongly affects when ghrelin peaks, meaning ghrelin rise right before your usual meal time. So, if I eat at 7 AM, 12 PM, 7 PM, and 10 PM daily, my body will automatically build up lots of hunger hormones around these times to prepare the body for food. If I often eat at 9 AM, 1 PM, and 8 PM daily, then the hunger hormones will peak around these times instead. If you find it hard to believe, just ask anyone who skips breakfast every morning. These people will, interestingly, not feel hungry in the morning because their body is conditioned not to eat breakfast. In fact, a study published in the journal Obesity found that there's a circadian rhythm to hunger, with a natural trough in the biological morning and a peak in the biological evening. This means, despite the long overnight fast, people often feel least hungry in the morning. Similarly, if you ask anyone who does intermittent fasting, they'll say the same thing. And here's the even more interesting fact. The hunger hormones will not stay in your body. They will ease off when the time passes. For example, if you feel hungry at 6:30 AM but did not eat anything by say 7:30 AM, you might no longer feel as hungry. And that said, the hunger can come back later, and everybody's body is different, so don't take this as medical advice. These are not just hearsay, but facts that are well researched. So, what has this got to do with protein? Similarly, if you want to feel full, it's also mainly due to hormones. For that, more hormones are at play, like leptin, PYY, and GLP-1. But it's the same idea. You feel full, or to be more specific, not hungry due to hormones too. I know these are hard to believe, so you can Google, and if I'm correct, you can type "blue cat is cute" in the comment section, and if there are 180 of such comments, I'll do my next video half naked.
You are already half naked with that type.
So, why is protein involved here? Well, be shocked. Now, imagine this. What if, instead of eating food to make you full, you can just have the hormones that make you feel full? Well, here's the thing. Back in 1986, two scientists discovered a hormone called GLP-1. They found that this hormone had a pronounced satiety effect, meaning it makes people feel full. It also slowed down gastric emptying and helped control blood sugar. With that, scientists started working on turning this discovery into a medication. In 2008, a phase 2 clinical trial began studying semaglutide, a once-weekly therapy that mimics GLP-1. And in December 2017, a breakthrough was established. A medication called Ozempic, which mimics GLP-1, was approved by the FDA for the treatment of type 2 diabetes, since it helps to control blood sugar and also control weight, the two key issues with type 2 diabetes. And well, the breakthrough was a pretty breakthrough. People who were under this medication lost weight by a lot, not because the medication melted their fats, but because they ate much less. After all, remember, they often feel full because of the GLP hormones in them. This led to a question: if this can help people lose weight effectively, why not make it available for weight loss as well? Yeah, that was when in June 2021, Wegovy, a higher dose version of semaglutide, was approved by the FDA specifically for weight loss. And in late 2022, this type of medication, known as GLP-1 agonist, kind of went viral online. But even people like Elon Musk openly tweet that he used Wegovy to lose weight. After that tweet, searches for it shot to millions of views on TikTok. Now, here's the thing. Those so-called weight loss drugs that you see being sold by TikTok live streamers often don't work, because the only way to lose weight is always this: consume fewer calories than you burn. But the GLP-1 agonists do indeed work very well in causing weight loss. People were losing weight left and right, with many saying they did not feel the urge to eat as much. It's because it literally made people do what is needed to lose weight: consume fewer calories. Basically, it's a breakthrough, almost like there's finally a cure for obesity. Since this video is not about GLP-1 agonists, I will just say that by right, doctors should prescribe it to overweight people like me. But let's just say that maybe people like Gombi Lang are taking it just so that she can fit into that stupid banana t-shirt. So, why this science lesson? Because protein will stimulate the release of GLP-1 hormones too. If you are looking to advertise your business in this channel, we can help you. There are guaranteed views and many big brands have trusted us. Just click on the link in the description. Here's the thing, those GLP-1 agonists can mimic GLP-1 in the body for a long period. But what if you can trigger it by eating something? You see, when we consume protein, GLP-1 will be created by our body. According to a study published in the journal Obesity, researchers gave participants 3 different breakfasts, one high in protein, one high in fat, and one high in carbs, all with the same amount of calories. The high high-protein breakfast trigger the highest GLP-1 and PYY levels compared to the other two. In other words, protein is the best natural trigger for the hormones that make you feel full. This is why you will seldom see anyone over-consuming chicken breast or over-drinking milk. After you have a bit of protein, you'll find it very hard to consume even more food, as your hormones will tell your brain that you are very full. If you want to, you can try this. Before every meal, drink a full cup of milk or have some chicken breast. You won't feel like eating much after that. Conversely, if you eat a pair of potato chips before that, you might eat even more during your meal. Now, this is a well-established fact, and if you talk to any dietitian, they will often give the same advice. Eat more protein and have protein first before your carbs, so you'll feel full. According to clinical studies on food sequencing, eating protein before carbohydrates is most effective at enhancing GLP-1 secretion and lowering post-meal blood sugar levels. While fats can do that as well, the calories might be a little too high. So, does that mean that protein can help you lose weight? Based on what you have watched, yes, it does. Very indirectly and very effectively. Dietary protein will not go into your body and zip off the visceral fats in your body, but it will make you feel full, making you eat a lot less. And here's a bonus. According to research, protein has a thermic effect of about 20 to 30%, meaning your body burns 20 to 30% of the calories from protein just to digest it, compared to only 0 to 3% for fats and 5 to 10% for carbs. So you're eating less and burning more. Not bad for just eating some chicken breast, right? So here's what happened. In 2022 or so, more YouTubers and influencers started talking about how protein can keep you full. In addition, GLP-1 agonists also went viral, and fitness influencers suggested consuming more protein to mimic the effects of GLP-1 agonists naturally. And with the combination of fats being simplified by fitness influencers and GLP-1 agonists showing how GLP-1 can indeed make people lose weight, you should know what happened next. People started to go all out on protein. Here's the thing, so far, based on the general scientific consensus that has been established even before the protein trend went viral, it's indeed good to have a high protein diet, whether it's for weight loss or other purposes. So yes, while some trends might not be good, this is actually a trend that is moving people in the correct direction. But of course, the high price might turn people off, because if you notice, high protein products are usually pricier. So here's a solution. A $5 high protein milk out of your budget. Don't worry, there are many ways to have high protein meals. An egg has about 6 grams of protein. A glass of milk has about 8 grams of protein. You really don't need to spend $2.90 on a small bag of protein chips when you can just eat real food. Just know that your body doesn't care whether the protein came from a fancy $5 protein bar or $1.50 tau hui. Just be more mindful of how much protein you need, and you can lose weight as well. Now, there's another way to lose weight, and it's to eat bacteria. Or to eat fiber to have some type of bacteria in your body. Like, seriously. I know that sounds, once again, like fake news. Watch this video and you'll know that I'm not talking nonsense. Also, if you want to advertise with us, even as a standalone video, do contact us. Thank you for spending almost 12 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something.